This is DME and you are listening Radio Intersect.
Hello and welcome listeners to the DME Radio. And as always, the format of our show has been, we always discuss the important and the reminiscent politicians of the country. As last time, we discussed some of the major politicians which are in the power in the country. This time we will discuss one of the major politicians who played a very important role in the independence struggle of the country. Yes, listeners, he is none other than Jawahar Lal Nehru. Pandit Nehru was the first Prime Minister of independent India. He was a member of the Congress party that led freedom movement against British rule. He was the chief framer of domestic and international policies during his term as Prime Minister between 1947 and 1964. It was under Nehru's supervision that India launched its first 5-year plan in 1951. Nehru was one of the architects to steer the nascent nation towards a brilliance envisioned by countless revolutionaries of Indian freedom struggle. Now let us take a look upon the early life and childhood of Pandit Jawahar Lal Nehru. Born on 14th November 1989 in a wealthy Kashmiri Brahmin family in Allahabad, Uttar Pradesh. His father, Motilal Nehru, was a renowned advocate and also an influential political activist. Nehru's family was elitist in the most of their practices, and English was spoken and encouraged. His father, Motilal Nehru, appointed English and Scottish teachers to supervise his children's education at home. For higher education, Nehru went to Harrow School and then later to Cambridge University in England to obtain a degree in natural sciences. After spending 2 years at the Inner Temple in London, he qualified as a barrister, stayed there and studied subjects like literature, politics, economics, history, and got attracted to the idea of liberalism, socialism, and nationalism. In 1912, he returned to India and joined the Allahabad High Court Bar. Nehru got married to Kamla Kaul on 8th Feb 1916. Brought up in a traditional Hindu Brahmin family, Kamla felt an outsider among the progressive Nehru family, but tried her best to adapt the family ethos and values. During the non-cooperation movement of 1921, Kamla played a vital role by organizing groups of women and picketing shops selling foreign liquor, clothes in Allahabad. On 19 November 1917, she gave birth to a daughter who came to be known as Indira Priyadarshini. Kamla died from tuberculosis in Switzerland on February 28, 1936, while Jawahar Lal Nehru was in the prison. Now let us take a look on the political career of Pandit Jawahar Lal Nehru. Although he dabbled in political affairs since his return to India by participating in Indian National Congress sessions and in Besant's Home Rule movement, Nehru's wholeheartedly embraced a political career only in the 1919 in the wake of the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. He followed Gandhi's directives and was imprisoned for practicing the first civil disobedience campaign as the General Secretary of the United Provinces Congress Committee in 1921. His time in jail helped him achieve a deeper understanding of the Gandhian philosophy and the nuances of the non-cooperation movement. He was moved by Gandhi's approach of dealing with caste and untouchability. With time, Nehru emerged as a popular and influential nationalist leader, particularly in the northern India. He was elected as the president of Allahabad Municipal Corporation in 1920. His loyalty to Congress remained unwavering in the face of rift created in the party due to Gandhi's decision to adjourn the non-cooperation movement post Chauri Chaura's incident. He refused to move to the Swaraj Party established by his father and Chittaranjan Das in 1922. Jawahar Lal Nehru traveled to European nations like Germany, France, and Soviet Union in the 1926 with his family and sought meetings with several communist, socialist, and radical leaders from Asia and Africa. Nehru was also impressed with the economic systems of the communist Soviet Union and wished to apply the same in his own country. In 1927, he became a member of the League against imperialism created in Brussels, the capital of Belgium. During the Guwahati session of Congress in 1928, Mahatma Gandhi announced that the Congress would launch a massive movement if the British did not grant Dominion status to India within the next 2 years. It was believed that under the pressure of Jawahar Lal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose, the deadline was reduced to 1 year. Nehru criticized the famous Nehru Report prepared by his father Motilal Nehru in 1928 that favored the concept of a dominion status for India within the British rule. In 1930, Mahatma Gandhi supported the name of Nehru as the next president of Congress. The decision was also an attempt to abate the intensity of communism in the Congress. The same year, Nehru was arrested for the violation of the Salt Law. In 1936, Nehru was re-elected as the President of Indian National Congress. Sources suggest that a heated argument between the old and the young leaders took place in the Lucknow session of the party. The young and the new generation leaders of the party had advocated for an ideology based on the concepts of socialism. In 1942 Quit India movement, Nehru vehemently rallied for Purna Swaraj or complete political independence for the country. He was arrested on August 8 of the same year and was imprisoned till June 15, 1945. Post his release, he threw himself into a series of rigorous discussions and negotiations with the British government that ultimately led to attainment of freedom of the country in 1947. Nehru fought hard against the proposed partitioning of the country by the last Viceroy Mountbatten. However, he failed to obtain enough support from Muhammad Jinnah, the leader of the Muslim League, and reluctantly gave in to it. And the result was the partition of India and Pakistan just after the independence of the nation. Then Nehru, on 15th August 1947, swore to be the first Prime Minister of the independent country. He was the first Prime Minister to hoist the national flag and make his iconic speech, Tryst with Destiny, from the ramparts of Lal Killa.
Long years ago, we made a tryst with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge, not only or in full measure, but very substantially. At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom. A moment comes, which comes but rarely in history, when we step out from the old to the new, when an age ends, and when the soul of a nation, long suppressed, finds utterance. It is fitting that at this solemn moment we take the pledge of dedication to the service of India and her people, and to the still larger cause of humanity. At the dawn of history, India started on her unending quest, and trackless centuries are filled with her striving and the grandeur of her successes and her failures. Through good and ill fortune alike, she has never lost sight of that quest or forgotten the ideals which gave her strength. We end today a period of ill fortune, and India discovers herself again. The achievement we celebrate today is but a step, an opening of opportunity to the greater triumphs and achievements that await us. Are we brave enough and wise enough to grasp this opportunity and accept the challenge of the future? Freedom and power bring responsibility. That responsibility rests upon this assembly, a sovereign body representing the sovereign people of India. Before the birth of freedom, we have endured all the pains of labor, and our hearts are heavy with the memory of this sorrow. Some of those pains continue even now. Nevertheless, the past is over, and it is the future that beckons to us now. That future is not one of ease or resting, but of incessant striving, so that we might fulfill the pledges we have so often taken, and the one we shall take today. The service of India means the service of the millions who suffer. It means the ending of poverty and ignorance and disease and inequality of opportunity. The ambition of the greatest man of our generation has been to wipe every tear from every eye. That may be beyond us, but so long as there are tears and suffering, so long our work will not be over. And so we have to labor and to work hard to give reality to our dreams. Those dreams are for India, but they are also for the world, for all the nations and peoples are too closely knit together today for any one of them to imagine that it can live apart. Peace has been said to be indivisible, so is freedom, so is prosperity now, and so also is disaster in this one world that can no longer be split into isolated fragments.
The time had come to implement his ideas and build a strong, healthy nation. Nehru's stint as Prime Minister of India is characterized by secular and a liberalist approach. He carried out his vision to carry the young India towards the road of technological and scientific excellence with a great zeal. He implemented a number of socio-economic reforms and paved the way for rapid industrialization. In the year 1949, Nehru made his first visit to the United States, seeking a solution to India's urgent food shortage. In 1951, Nehru launched the country's first 5-year plan, emphasizing basically on the increase of the agricultural output. Nehru also played an indispensable role in designing some of India's very crucial and eminent foreign policies. He was a supporter of anti-imperialist policy. He extended his support for the independence of small and colonized nations of the world. He was also one of the prominent architects of non-alignment movement. Nehru's predominant role in substantiating India's role in the foundation of institutions like NAM, IITs, All India Institute of Medical Sciences had surprised the then stalwarts of international politics. He advocated the policy of non-alignment during the Cold War, and India subsequently kept itself aloof from being in the process of global bifurcation. Then in 1962 came the Sino-Indian War. The roots of the Sino-Indian conflict in 1962 lies in the several facts of the history. The Indian government granted asylum to Dalai Lama after his banishment following the Tibetan uprising in 1959, and it irked China. In addition to that, boundaries dispute over the McMahon line in Arunachal Pradesh and Aksai Chin area in Ladakh, Kashmir also added to the India-Sino bitterness. Nehru and his Chinese counterpart, Premier Zhou Enlai, were unable to reach a political accord on the 3,225 km long disputed border issue. On October 20, 1962, the People's Liberation Army attacked India simultaneously from two disputed fronts. They captured Razangla in Chushul and Tawang in Arunachal Pradesh. A month into the armed confrontation, the Chinese declared a ceasefire on November 20, 1962. But the deep sense of mistrust strained the political relations between the two countries ever since. The blame for this defeat squarely fell on Nehru and his defense minister V.K. Krishna Menon's shoulder for implementing a naive and poor strategy. As a great believer in pluralism, socialism and democracy, Nehru developed India as a secular nation, true to its 1,000-year-old cultural heritage. He had immense love for children, and his birthday, November 14, celebrates as the Children's Day in India. He paved the way for India's educational exaltation by envisioning the country's top-tier institutions like Indian Institute of Technology, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, and the First Space Program. He served as the primary political inspiration to the daughter Indira Gandhi, who became the Prime Minister of India after his death. Shyam Benegal made a famous TV series Bharat Ek Khoj, based on the Nehru's book Discovery of India. Nehru was featured as a prominent character in Richard Attenborough's biopic Gandhi and Ketan Mehta's Sardar. In 1964, Nehru suffered a heart attack, and as a result, on 27th May 1964, he passed away and was cremated at the Shantivan on the banks of Yamuna River. This is all the popular information which is available about Jawahar Lal Nehru. But some of the hidden facts are also there about the Nehru dynasty which might intrigue our listeners, and for that we are with those hidden facts. Nehru's dynasty started with a Mughal man named Ghiyasuddin Ghazi. He was the city kotwal, that is the police officer of Delhi, prior to the uprising of the 1857 under the Mughal rule. After capturing Delhi in 1857 in the year of the mutiny, the British were slaughtering all the Mughals everywhere. The British made a thorough search and killed every Mughal so that there were no future claimants to the throne. The Hindus, on the other hand, were not targeted by the British unless isolated Hindus were found to be siding with the Mughals due to the past association. Therefore, it became customary for many Muslims to adopt Hindu names. So the man Ghiyasuddin Ghazi adopted a Hindu name, Gangadhar Nehru, and thus saved his life. Ghazi apparently used to reside on the bank of a canal near Red Fort. Thus he adopted the name Nehru as the family's name. Throughout the world, we did not find any descendant other than that of Gangadhar having the surname Nehru. However, the 13th volume of the Encyclopedia of the Indian War of Independence by M.K. Singh elaborately. The government of India has been hiding this fact. What we conclude out of this piece of information is that Nehru had a Muslim background. Nehru's grandfather was, under the Mughal rule, an influential police officer in Delhi. And because of the British interventions and the British oppressions on the Muslims and the Mughals, he had to change his name. And that is how the Nehru dynasty came into light from nowhere. Jawahar Lal Nehru was a person that India adores. He was undoubtedly a very sound politician and a gifted individual. But the government of India has not built a memorial of Jawahar Lal Nehru at his birthplace, 77 Miraganj in Allahabad. Do you know why? Because it was a brothel. The entire locality is a well-known red area since long. It has not become a brothel recently, but it has been a brothel even before Jawahar Lal Nehru's birth. A portion of the same house was sold by his father Motilal Nehru to a prostitute named Lali Jan, and it came to be known as the Imam Bada. If you have any doubt, you can visit this place, and several dependable sources are available on encyclopedia.com and Wikipedia, which tells that Motilal Nehru, along with his family, later shifted to Anand Bhavan. Anand Bhavan is Jawahar Lal Nehru's ancestral home and not his birthplace. M.O. Mathai of Indian Civil Services, as a private secretary to Prime Minister Nehru, has written a book titled Reminiscences of Nehru's Age. In his book, he reveals that Nehru and Edwina Mountbatten were in an intense love affair. And Edwina Mountbatten is none other than the wife of the last Viceroy to India, Louis Mountbatten. The romance was a source of great embarrassment for Indira Gandhi, who used to seek Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad's help in persuading her father to be a little discreet about their relationship. Also, Nehru's love affair with Sarojini Naidu's daughter Padmaja Naidu, whom he appointed as the governor of Bengal. It is revealed that he used to keep her portrait in his bedroom, which Indira would often remove. It caused some tension between father and daughter. Apart from these ladies, Nehru also had an affair with a sannyasin from Banaras named Shraddha Mata. She was an attractive Sanskrit scholar, well versed in ancient Indian scriptures and mythology. When she conceived out of their illicit relationship in 1949 in a convent in Bangalore, she insisted that Nehru should marry her. But Nehru declined because it could affect his political career. A son was born and he was later kept at a Christian missionary boarding school. His birth date is estimated to be 30th May 1949. He may be in the early 60s now. Convents in such matter maintain secrecy to prevent humiliation of a child. The Mathai confirmed the existence of the child. No efforts have ever been made to locate him. He must have grown up as a Christian Catholic, blissfully ignorant of who his father was. Subhash Chandra Bose and Dr. Shyam Prasad Mukherjee were the competitors of Nehru for the post of the Prime Minister of India, and both of them died under mysterious circumstances. Knowing all these facts, is there any meaning of celebrating Nehru's Day as Children's Day? Presenting him as a different person to our children and hiding the truth amounts to denying education to them. As per the book The Great Divide, Muslims, Separatism and Partition by S.C. Bhatt, Nehru's sister Vijay Lakshmi eloped with her father's employee Syed Hussain. Then Motilal Nehru forcefully took her back and got her married with another man named Ranjit Pandit. Indira Priyadarshini perpetuated immorality in the Nehru dynasty. Intellectual Indira was admitted in the Oxford University but driven out because of her non-performance. She was then admitted to Shanti Niketan University, but Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore chased her out for a bad conduct. After driven out of Shanti Niketan, Indira became lonely as father was busy with politics and mother was dying of tuberculosis in Switzerland. Playing with her loneliness, Firoz Khan, son of a grocer named Nawab Khan, who supplied wines etc. to Motilal Nehru's house in Allahabad, was able to draw close to Indira Gandhi. The then governor of Maharashtra, Dr. Sri Prakash, warned Nehru that Indira was having an illicit relation with Firoz Khan. Firoz was then in London and he was quite sympathetic to Indira. Soon enough, she changed her religion, became a Muslim woman and married Firoz Khan in a London mosque. Indira Priyadarshini Nehru changed her name to Maimuna Begum. Her mother Kamala Nehru was totally against the marriage. Nehru was also not happy as the conversion to the Muslims will jeopardize her aspect of becoming the Prime Minister. So Nehru asked the young Firoz Khan to change his surname from Khan to Gandhi. It had nothing to do with a change of religion from Islam to Hinduism. It was just a change of name by an affidavit, so Firoz Khan became Firoz Gandhi. Though it is an inconsistent name like Bismillah Sharma. Both changed their names to fool the public of India, and when they returned to India, a mock Vedic marriage was instituted for public consumption. Thus Indira and the descendants got a fancy name, Gandhi. Both Nehru and Gandhi are the fancy names. As a chameleon changes its color, this dynasty has been changing its name to hide the real identity. First from the Mughals to the Nehru, and then when Indira was converted as a Muslim, Firoz Khan was convinced to change his name to Firoz Gandhi. Indira had two sons, namely Rajiv and Sanjay Gandhi. These are some very interesting and unheard facts about Jawahar Lal Nehru. One might remember him as a very great politician who fought for India's independence, but these facts cannot be neglected. The ethnic origination of Jawahar Lal Nehru has always played a major role in the policy making of the country. And no wonder why Congress during elections have a tendency to incline towards the Muslims. Well, this was some of my researched information about Jawahar Lal Nehru. I hope you like this episode. For some more interesting updates and facts about other politicians of the country, stay updated with us and keep listening to DME Radio. This was your RJ Bharat Sharma signing off for the day.
This is DME and you are listening Radio Intersect.